So now we talk about our last media type, which is mobile marketing. And again, this topic of mobile marketing could, I'm sure, be its own class. There's just so much going on here. So obviously, we're just going to touch on some highlights as we have done with other things. So our agenda for discussing mobile advertising is first to go over history and background, then trends and players, mobile advertising, how it works, strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, an explosive growth rate. Key point of difference is it puts the internet at all of our fingertips constantly. It's the primary way we access information, and people check their mobile device 150 to 200 times per day. When we started our whole discussion about media, we started with some overall U.S. media trends, which included a move from non-digital to digital, or fragmentation of audiences, different media for different groups, and then an overall move from everything really to mobile. We also, in the history of media, kind of capped everything off with mobile. A little bit about history. In 1983 were the first mobile devices invented and deployed. In 1992, first SMS message, and you can kind of read the rest there. And there are some countries in the world with even more mobile penetration than we have. I think China's right up there, as a matter of fact, where regular phone systems were sort of bypassed, landline phones, and people had mobiles. And then some charts from Statista, just to kind of paint the picture here in terms of trends and growth, etc. And now over $100 billion in mobile advertising in the U.S., at least projected. And these are the kinds of ads. The years go across the bottom, and billions of dollars go from bottom to top. And then you have display advertising in blue, search in black, and then SMS, etc. And you can see that both display and search are the lion's share and growing aggressively. And you won't be surprised as to who the bigger players are in the business, because here you see Google and Facebook are a large percentage of overall mobile dollars in the U.S. And it's only been going up lately. However, this chart shows, it's a couple of years old. It's from the Interactive Advertising Bureau, which I've referenced once or twice. It's a great source of information and training and a lot of other things. This just shows that time spent per day. So the blue shows how much time you spend with something. The red shows what percent of ad spending it gets. And here you can see, and this is shifting, this is 2015, and time spent with mobile is only going up. But the share of dollars is still very low for mobile. So it is believed that there's a lot of more opportunity for growth. By the way, you'll also remember that mobile CPM is very low. And this shows desktop and mobile. Black is desktop spending, and red is mobile, and you can see that mobile is just growing and growing and kind of taking over. There are two great resources here. Trade associations, here's one of them. The Mobile Marketing Association. Case studies, training, all kinds of things. Okay, and then another one is, I think we can probably cut that. Whoa, look at all these things I'm looking at. Hang on, folks. Another one is the IAB, and again, I've mentioned the IAB several times. They really are amazing. They standardized ad sizes and all kinds of things. They're also handling mobile, by the way. Okay, you've got training, certification. They'll actually certify you to sell digital media. There's a course and an exam, and you get this IAB certification programs right there. And it's the digital meeting buying and planning is the one that people selling digital media want to get. So IAB is great. Okay. And you remember our CPM comparison. Here we see it again. And of course, when we look at Eddy Medium, we want to look at how is it moving people from prospect to MBC. And really, mobile is just another tool, another way to reach people and get them to do things. It's part of the purchase funnel. It's nothing terribly mysterious about it. It does have a lot of new capabilities, also some drawbacks, but it's still all about winning new customers or building most valuable customers. So one of the things that anyone would do when putting together a mobile strategy would be to think about how your target consumer is already using mobile to interact with your brand, and then look at your competitors and what is the consumer looking for in the space you're in? What are they getting now? What kind of devices are they on? What's their mindset? Are they wanting to buy now or later? So you can see the things here, what kind of content they're searching for, what are they expecting, and then again, how other brands are enabling consumer action within your segment. These are different types of mobile inventory. On the left, you've got a number of the types we've already talked about. Search, social media, video, sponsorships, banners, rich media, etc. And this shows people saying what are advertisers using, what are the most important things for their campaigns. And you see that optimizing your website for mobile is obviously a key thing that has to be done first before you start doing business on mobile. And then it's search, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully this shows you what are the first, second, and third most important types of advertising for advertisers on mobile. And we all know about mobile video, and of course the challenge there is to get people to stay and watch the video. And here's video projected to go up quite a bit from where it is now in terms of billions of dollars. When people are asked what kind of videos they like to watch, people like something funny, short and viral, then music, sports, etc. Those are the kind of videos that consumers like to watch. And here are teen and millennial internet users talking about what kind of ads they like as of May 2016. Percentage mentioning a certain aspect as being important or a quality of a perfect mobile ad. Percentages are on the left, and then the different qualities they like are along the bottom from left to right. So they like things that can be saved and accessed. Trusted source. They like offers. So you can see the things that are important in mobile ads. And the key advice for anyone wanting to make an effective mobile video is you need to capture attention quickly. You need to assume that somebody may not be watching the whole thing. You need to get your captivating elements that make people want to watch early. You want to incorporate your brand message and identity early. You should build it for the sound off because people may not want to turn the sound on, because that means you got to tell your story visually and even add captions. And a lot of people say make it as short as it can be and as long as it needs to be. You also can experiment because, as with all direct advertising, with all internet advertising, mobile, we can see what happens. How long do people watch it? Do they click or don't they? So just as with the Hulu ad that we looked at, and a lot of people are looking at those Hulu ads in the hotel rooms on their phones, not just on their laptops. So you can learn things if you don't get good results and go back and fix it and try something else. And location-based mobile marketing is, of course, something amazing you can really only do with mobile, since you always have it with you wherever you are. And it's called geo-targeting or geofencing sometimes. And it's delivering content to a user based on where they are. And, kind of amazing. Just a quick example from, it's not mobile advertising, it's actually out-of-home advertising, but it's related. TaxiTop, there's a TaxiTop advertising company in New York called Strong Media. They have 100 digital taxi tops where both sides of the taxi top are digital. They have GPS coders in them, and they ran a campaign for a Broadway show where whenever one of their cabs went into the Times Square area, carefully defined by streets, etc., the display would start running an ad for a specific Broadway show with the time of the next show. So that's an example of geofencing and technology. And the same thing, of course, can happen on your cell phone. There are also location-based networking sites, as you guys know. And what about Pokemon Go? It's not advertising, but it's a pretty interesting geo-defined application for cell phone, isn't it? My daughter used to play that. She used to make me drive 10 miles an hour in certain areas. There are lots of Pokemon Go characters here, Dad. I'm sure you've all done that to your parents, most of you, many of you. You can use quick response codes on phones. There's some of them on packaging. You can do it on print, even out of home. You can market in apps on mobile phones. A lot of people doing that, like Publishers Clearinghouse that we heard from. And people are also using SMS text messaging more and more. They're kind of not just doing emails, but you really have to opt in for the text messaging. As we know, that's considered still very much a personal space. And that's the other thing about the phone. A lot of people consider it like their phone, and they sometimes don't like seeing ads on it. So it has some drawbacks in terms of advertising. With SMS, it's less cluttered than email, but again, it must be permission-based. It must be valuable information. So believe it or not, we've kind of run through. Normally, I would have people in the class get up and give examples of good mobile advertising, and we talk about it, but we're not really set up to do that here. We could do it in a discussion, but I really want you all to focus on your Ocean Spray now. I hope you're using mobile as part of your Ocean Spray presentation. It wasn't explicitly called for, but I would hope, given the need to target millennials, etc., that you're doing that and that you're putting some good thinking into it. I'm sure you are. Strengths and weaknesses. Well, on the weakness side, it's small. There isn't room for everything. That can be a challenge. It's also an intrusion on personal space and time. Color reproduction is another issue. Not necessarily perfect as it is in print, for instance. Positives, it's always with you. It's a mechanism to search and buy now. And has a lot of strengths, which is why it's growing so quickly. And here are marketers rating some of the challenges facing mobile advertising in the U.S. This goes back a few years, but it's from Statista, and I think it's still relevant. Very important is blue, black is important, gray slightly important, red is not important. So privacy issues are number one. Device operating system fragmentation, that means how many people have Apple, how many people have Android. Lack of standard advertising units, and that's something the IAB needs to get involved in. So you can see, difficult to create mobile-rich media video ad creative is a big one, not surprisingly. So we're going to stop this now. I think we've got a little bit more to go.